No, 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 no. Wow. Saying no is actually pretty empowering. How well do you say no? And have you been able to find the freedom in saying no, setting boundaries, and getting to understand what you really need to succeed? Today's guest, Alexis Alvarez from Burst Weddings, is all about the no and the empowerment that her and her team get from it. Not only has no allowed her to beat the burnout monster, but it's also allowed for her to be a better team leader and to get a sense of contentment and happiness that she probably would never have been able to get without the beauty of the word no. If you want to learn how to say no, set better boundaries, grow a team, and learn from someone who has been through it, come to the other side, telling the tale, and living her best life, then this, my friend, is the episode for you. Let's get to it.
Welcome to the Flourishing Entrepreneur Podcast with Alea Harris. This is the place where you and your fellow empire-building entrepreneurs come to vanquish the burnout monster and boost your glow and cash flow with energy alignment techniques and tried and true marketing strategies. Since 7 figures won't get itself, hit that subscribe button and never miss out on your chance to skyrocket profits, tap into your intuition, and manifest your dreams. And now, your host, Powerhouse Story Brand Certified Guide, award-winning marketer, bioenergetic business coach, and Japanese whiskey lover, Alea Harris.
When was the last time you really sat down to think about what you need to get to what you want? Often in this entrepreneurial journey, this empire building journey that we're on, we don't take a moment in the swirl of life and the swirl of business to say, I really actually don't need to do half of what I'm doing if my goal is super clear. So before you get caught up in your own mess and you get caught up in your own story and the stories other people are telling you and the feedback from other people, which sometimes is welcome and sometimes is not, ask yourself, what is it that I really want and what do I need to do to get there? Is it infrastructure? Is it time? Is it an injection of cash? Do you need to go find funding? Is it a support system? What is it that you need to get whatever you want? Right now, I'm reading or rereading Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And one of my favorite things that he mentions in the book is that your thoughts that you're having currently are relics of the past. They're thoughts that you're reliving and you're worrying about now, and even what you're worrying about in the future is based on your known past. So you're stuck in your known past and your known future. The problem with that is that creativity doesn't happen there. You need creativity to come from a place of being in the unknown. You need that goal that you're trying to attain. You need new ways of attaining that goal, and you're not going to be able to do that if you're just rehashing the same day over and over and over again. So I encourage you now to step out into the unknown. Be like my girl Elsa from Frozen, into the unknown. That's you. That needs to be you. So that you can move forward to that one single solitary goal. Often when we get started in our business, it's difficult to narrow down to one goal because we have to feel like we do all the things for all the people at all the times so that we can make even a little bit of money. Not even all the money, just a little bit of money. And that's fear driving you. That's fear based off of your known past so that you can create a known future. But my friend, the unknown is so much better. The unknown is where your unknown blessings lie, surprises, things that you didn't know could warm your heart and your pocketbook exist in the unknown. But you have to be comfortable stepping out into that unknown place, not reliving over and over the same feelings and the same thought processes that are getting you to where you are, but to do something that steps into your unknown. For me, and from the book Becoming Supernatural, the best way to step into the unknown is to have a clear idea of what you want, have the feelings of what is associated with what you want, and then be able to consistently rehearse that new feeling over and over and over. You know how you have that worrywart voice where you're constantly replaying what you did wrong or how you feel or what's going to be going that's wrong, and that's on autopilot? Those brain synapses are consistently firing. Those neural pathways for worry and anxiety and stress are consistently firing in that same direction. You know that? You know what I mean? I know what you know. You know what I mean. Think about you rewiring your brain, rewiring the way that you approach your life and your day so that the thing that runs on autopilot is the feelings of that unknown future that you're trying to create and program yourself for, so that you take those automatic steps toward that future that you want rather than that future that you don't really want. The thing that you've been focusing on your brain on, because that's what you're going to create. Where your focus is, that's where your feet will go. And if your focus is on worry and your focus is on negativity, your focus is on things you don't want, that's where your feet will go. So program yourself to focus on what you do want so that your feet will follow. That, my friend, is my recalibration strategy for you today. You are going to program yourself by getting a clear picture in your mind of what you want, and most importantly, having the feelings that follow. So when you know what you want, you also can say, ooh, I'm going to feel relaxed. I'm going to feel free. I'm going to feel comfortable. I'm going to feel safe. I'm going to feel unstoppable. Oh my gosh, I do not feel anywhere like that right now, but that's what I want to feel. Where does it feel like? Inside of your chest, inside of your stomach, inside of your shoulders, inside of your neck, inside of your head. Where are those feelings located? How can you make them as real as possible? And how can you set aside time every day to make those feelings as real as possible, so that you form those new neural pathways? With those new neural pathways, with that clear direction, with that focus on what you really want, the word no becomes so easy. It just rolls right off your tongue. No, no, no. I know I don't need to do that. I know that's not the direction. Thank you very much for your opinion, but no thanks. I know that that is not in my path because I'm so hyper focused on what I do want. I know exactly what I don't want. I know that I can set better boundaries. I know how to move forward. And I also am aware of when the universe is consistently bringing me things that are in alignment with what I do want, so that I know which direction my feet should continue to follow. So make sure that you program what you do want. You get those feelings, you relive those feelings on a daily basis, and allow yourself the freedom to say no. If you need me to say it with you, say it with me. No, 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 no. All right, now we're going to learn from the no master herself, who has learned to use the power of no, the power of teams, the power of infrastructure, boundaries, happiness, and contentment to build a life that she loves. Let's get into it and talk with Alexis. Hey, Alexis, thank you so much for joining us here on the Flourishing Entrepreneur podcast. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to be talking to you.
I know. So tell the people, before we dive in, the problem that you solve and what you do out there in the big bad world.
Yeah. So I own a wedding and event planning firm. So we do mostly weddings right now, mostly focusing on planning. We're also starting to dabble into corporate next year and starting to offer custom floral and decor as well. So we're doing like all of the things in the Chicago wedding market. I'm super excited.
I love it. And I'm so proud of your growth. You had a name change. You've just skyrocketed over the time that I've been following you and your experience. Do you want to first, before we dive into some of our harder hitting questions, do you want to tell the people a little bit about that growth path? What was that like for you?
Yeah. So I opened the business in 2016. I had a 3-month-old baby and was like totally high on like new girl mom energy. And I was like, I'm gonna do this. And I'm gonna show her she can do anything she wants to do. And about 3 months after opening my business, I found out I was pregnant again. So I started this business with a baby and pregnant with another baby. So I had 3 babies all at the same time. And had some pretty significant growth very early in my business, and totally burnt out, like bad burnout in 2019. So the pandemic kind of came at the perfect time for me on a personal level to be able to kind of take a step back, breathe a little bit. But anybody who has followed me for any length of time knows that I fully intended on dissolving the business going into 2020. I didn't want to do it. I was out of love with my business. And the pandemic gave me a chance to like just reevaluate and figure out what I want to do and what kind of business I wanted to own if I wanted to at all. And I started exploring options of working for other people again, and I hated it. I was like, I can't do that. I cannot go back to working for someone else. I love making my own rules.
I totally feel you. I tell people now that I am unemployable.
I would be the world's worst employee at this point in my life. I need like uncapped income potential. I need like all of the flexibility, all of the perks, be able to make my own schedule, work from wherever I want to, make all of my own rules. Like I'd be the worst employee. I'm completely unemployable. So we went into this like,
Totally
do I
get
want
it.
to be employable? And the answer is no. And I started going back to therapy and realizing like what it was that I fell out of love with my business and what was causing a lot of that. And really it was that I needed infrastructure around me. I needed to kind of protect my little heart from this, all of the things that were kind of coming into my business and all of the opinions and feedback and all of that. So the answer to that was build a team. Which is what I focused on in the pandemic. And so we were able to rebrand into something that feels so good to me. I love this new brand and love this company. And I think the brand feeling really aligned with who I am and who we are as a company has kind of aided in this growth that we've seen in the last year. And so we've built this amazing team and have just, the growth in the last year has just been insane and so exciting. And I have a business now that like I love, and I'm so excited about that.
I love it. I love the journey of you realizing what was off, getting into alignment with yourself personally, having your own kind of come to Jesus moments, and
Yes.
then not stopping there. Because a lot of people are like, okay, I've come to Jesus and I didn't really hear him real clearly. And, I've tried all the deities.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
There was so many nights of screaming to Jesus. Like, I need you to give me some answers now, please.
Like, can you write it on a Post-it note, please? Thank you.
Send me a text, something. I am reachable in so many ways. Just do it.
Haven't you been on my website? There's a contact form, literally whatever you want to do. But what I love about your journey is that you kept digging, you kept seeking, and you realized what you needed to have and put in place to be successful. And then you always know when you've done it right when you see that shift like you saw. So you're like, I need infrastructure. I need a team. I need some support. That's why I don't like all of this. You're like, I actually like weddings and people and business and just something's off. And I love that you pinpointed it. You did it so gracefully and elegantly. So now it's like you're on your way to really not even working in your business anymore, right? Didn't you say your last wedding that you are personally doing is at the end of this year?
Yeah. I have a few past couples that have made me promise that I will plan their siblings' weddings, which I will do. But yeah, my last official wedding that I'm taking is New Year's Eve of this year, and then I'm fully just owning my business, running my business, managing my team, focusing on growth and strategy, which is what I love and gets me so excited. And so my team gets to do what they love and really love on our clients and produce beautiful events. So
I love that. And I love that during the journey, you mentioned that you're like, I'm so burned out. So you mentioned a couple of things like therapy, love that. Getting in line with your goals, love that. But do you have any other tips and tricks or tools to either avoid burnout now that you've gone through and you're on the other side, or once it's there, what to do to just truly get back into alignment personally and professionally?
yeah. I think just like a team is everything. I think that's really like for me what I found. So not necessarily growing a team is not for everybody like in their business. For me, it's been just I'm so obsessed with like finding amazing talent and getting to mentor them and getting to learn from them. I learn so much from my team just on a regular basis. But whether it's like in your actual business, a team, which has been so helpful to me, or in your home, my husband is my partner. He is like he has supported every single moment of this journey. He has never told me the time is up. It like never has he once pushed me into anything. So my husband has been such a big part of that. And then like just a team in terms of community around you. I have two people in my local market who are also planners and understand what I do and understand our market and, have the same job as me and are also business owners and moms. Jen Price from Event Shop and Nicole Hensley from Storybook Weddings. And they are just my people. They are the people I can call when I'm like, I hate this. I don't want to do this anymore. I think I'm going to get a real job. And they're like, no, you can't do that because you're an awful employee. And we learn from each other and we bounce ideas off of each other and we laugh at the things that are silly about what we do. And like, they are just the people that like pick me up and keep me going. And they're so important to me too.
I love that. Teamwork in the areas of professional, home, and community. So literally teamwork makes the dream work.
Like I'm nowhere without the people in my life. Nowhere. Like people will say like, oh, how do you do what you like all the things you do? And I'm like, I just have the best people around me, like the best people around me.
That's amazing. That, no empire is built alone, and you're definitely building one, and you're giving a great example of how to make sure that you don't do it by yourself. But team building can be a little daunting for people if you're a solopreneur and you're like, a team? I'm not even sure if I'm supporting myself month to month. That's scary. So since it seems like teamwork and team building and community building have been your secret sauce after you're in alignment, you realize that's what you needed to make yourself successful. What are some team building, growing, scaling tips that you have for people who might be in that place that you were, a couple of years ago? It's just them, and hiring that first person is daunting. What are kind of some tips you have around that?
Yeah. So I think first thing is like, for me, I think the first part of the process was becoming the type of leader that I would want to follow was so important to me. So really like looking at like, what are the different leaders that I've had and what have I loved about them and what have I not loved about them? And what are the things that I've not liked about working for companies? And, what makes me not want to ever be somebody's employee again and then not doing those things, right? Like, I don't want to be the type of boss that people are, and I hate even using that term, but I don't want to be the type of business owner that people complain about, that like your employees like dread coming to work and that they feel like you're monopolizing all of their time. Like all of the reasons I started a business are the things that I work really intentionally to give to my team. So work-life balance. I don't require them to be in the office at certain time. We have our weekly meeting every single week, but I don't put things on their calendar for them. I ask them first. I don't dictate their schedules, and that's been really important. Learning how to set boundaries for myself so that I can enforce boundaries for them has been so big. So being able, like, I exercise the word no so much this year so that they know that like it's okay for them to say no. Because if I'm constantly saying yes to everything, they're not going to feel like they have the ability to say no. So just like really living out, like, not do as I say, not what I do, but like actually doing the things that I would want them to do, having the boundaries I want them to have, having the self-respect that I want them to have, and then treating them with the respect that I would expect an employer treat me with, I think is probably the biggest starting point is really just like being that leader you want to follow. Like that's first thing.
That is amazing. So who were some of your role models who you got that from? Or is there a book that you were reading, or is there someone who you've even admired from afar that you're like, oh no, that's a good leader. That's who I want to be.
Oh my gosh, I have read so many books. Like I feel like entrepreneurs are like the people that are like, oh God, which book did I even get that from? What podcast did I hear that on? I'm and I think that's a big thing too, is like, like tricks, tips to becoming like a good leader, building a team is like going out and seeking what you don't know how to do. So there are courses that I've taken. Ashley Ebert from the Abundance Group, I did her team, building a team beta course. So I was one of her first students through that, which was amazing. I come from an HR background, so that also really helped me, just like knowing how to interview and like grow a team, just from my own like work history background. Was really helpful. But the book Traction was so good in learning how to like build momentum.
One of my favorite books, Traction, and the whole EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. Love it. By Gino Wickman. Traction by Gino Wickman, everybody.
It's so good. I read at the end of every year because it helps me like get realigned with like, okay, so how do we make a strategy for the next year? And we all fall out of habits throughout the year, especially like getting into wedding season. I'm like, our meeting schedule is off. Like we're not doing the things that I tell my team, like we're going to do these things every single month. Wedding season, like it's nothing is the same. But I read that at the end of every year. And that's really how I built our like internal communication system. Having good resources for my team has been a part of it. So I own, I think, every refined product from Amber Anderson that she has ever made. I own all of it because
refine is for those out there. If you're a wedding professional and you are not part of Refine, I don't really know what you're doing with your life. Because Amber Anderson has amazing content out there. If you're a wedding pro, do continue, Alexis.
Yes. So having resources for them that I didn't have to like create myself, like they were out there investing in them. And the investing part can be hard. Like, so knowing your numbers is so important. Like, I think your interview with Megan Ely, she was talking about Michelle Loretta, who is like on my bucket list for this year to hire her to do all of my finances. That's happening this year.
She was on my bucket list, and I finally got to the place where I could take her off my bucket list, and she's kicking my bucket butt right now. Like she sent me an email on Friday, and she's like, I'm sorry for this a Friday email. And it's long. It took me literally 5 hours to answer her email, like of working time, because she asks the questions that I know I needed to ask, but was like, I'm not going to ask myself that. We're not going to really dive into profitability, are we?
Oh,
I don't think so. But you need someone in your corner like that. Yes. I love that, because I can't build a team if I don't know if I can pay them or not, right?
Yes.
So like, in order to get that infrastructure around you and to get that support system and to not get to the burnout and to have that community, it all revolves around cash flow. So I'm so glad you brought up Michelle Loretta. She's actually is going to be a guest eventually, but by the time she is on the podcast, people going to just be talking about her. Everyone's going to be like, this is Michelle Loretta.
Oh, this is the famous Michelle Loretta. Yeah. So she's totally on my bucket list to hire this year, because just the numbers, I need to just always get a better handle on that. That's just, the numbers are not my thing. But so like knowing your numbers and to be totally transparent, because I hate listening to podcasts and like interviews and things that people are like, oh yeah, this is what I did. And it sounds so easy. And it's like, well, I don't have any cash. To be totally transparent, all of the pandemic kind of programs that were out there really helped in terms of cash flow and me being able to fund building a team. So like just in full transparency there, like that really played into my benefit, all of those programs, which is what they were designed for. Right. So that was not just like, I didn't have just puddles of cash sitting around that I could just invest all of that. So that was super helpful. But yeah, I think just being willing to learn the things you don't know is so important. Yeah.
I love that. I know. I wish we all had puddles of cash. One of the things that I have come across recently is Hello Alice. So as the pandemic funding is going away, there's still grants, business grants out there. And Hello Alice, if you're like, okay, Alexis, I want to do all the things that you just said, but I also do not have puddles of cash sitting around. A grant or a business loan, it could be that next step. If you're like, I feel like Alexis, I'm burned out, but I believe in myself and I'm unemployable. So what do? You need to go find the money.
Yeah.
And there's more money out there than you even think that is out there. Yeah.
You got to go find the money.
Got to go find the money so that you can go make more money. Right?
Yes.
So you went through this period of growth, and I just have been loving watching you and your team grow. But that can be amazing and also, again, is stressful. So during that, how did you protect and celebrate your energy and the energy of your team so that you can actually enjoy the growth and enjoy the journey rather than saying, oh my gosh, I have all this team and now I feel just as bad as I did before I started this?
Yeah. So one, music is like my number one key to like setting my own energy. Like I have specific songs. I have a song that I play when we get new money in the door. I have a song that goes on when we're published. I have songs like I have a bad bitch playlist that I play when I'm like not feeling like super confident in myself, that I'm like, I got to remind myself like, I got this, I'm good. So music is like a super, super big thing for like setting the energy that I need and like celebrating wins and things like that. Boundaries, all day, every day boundaries. I've learned to love the word no this year. For me, for my team, we say no to bad clients. I have gotten real good at firing bad clients because I just don't have the time for it. I will fire somebody. You get out of line. I'm like, nope, this was not our agreement. Goodbye. I don't need your money. It's bad money, bad energy. I don't need it here. My team doesn't need it here. So we're real good at saying no. Well, I've gotten very good at saying no. I'm still teaching my team. You guys got to say no. Breathing, like remembering to breathe. Oh, it's the biggest.
Yeah, when we're stressed, we just hold.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we wonder why we have a headache and we're lightheaded and we're a little nauseous. It's like, you're not even breathing.
I know, you have no oxygen. You have no oxygen. So I just have to sometimes remind myself. My husband all the time is like, I swear, he's like, is everything okay? Because I'm just like constantly sighing. I'm like, no, I'm just breathing. Just slowing down.
That's so funny. I was speaking at Wedding Pro Core last week at the time of this recording, and I'm sitting backstage next to the amazing Terica. And I didn't even realize I did it, but it must have been pretty loud, the sigh that I let out. And because she had her back to me, she turned all the way around. I said, it's okay. I'm just letting it go. She goes, yeah, it sounds like you're letting everybody go.
Sometimes you just gotta let it go.
I felt that sigh. So I do the same thing too.
Breathing is, it's intense. It's so intense. And one like big thing. So I think before this year, like the abundance mindset seemed like very like woo-woo to me, and like it's not practical, and like we can deny the reality of our finances all we want to, still doesn't make a puddle of money for me. It's not raining money for me. But Ashley Ebert had really like reality-based like abundance mindset that she said on an interview I watched her do or something at the beginning of this year. And it has just been like the key for me. And what was, I wrote it down because I wanted to make sure I remembered what it was, because it was like so powerful for me. She said like, so some people really struggle with the abundance mindset because like this is not reality, right? And she said to try the mantra, I don't have enough money now, but more is already on its way. And that to me has been like allowed me to kind of push past the fear of finances and feel like, okay, I'm stepping on this ledge and there's not enough money to do this thing yet. But it's coming and it's on the way, and like trusting that like I'm going to step out and the money is just kind of going to meet me halfway, has been so powerful to me too. Just like getting the courage to kind of do things that feel uncomfortable and maybe financially a little risky. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, me and this mute button we are struggling today. So
Okay.
I love your tangible tips and advice, because a lot of the times people are like, I just feel this way, and it like swirls all around them. Just give me something to hold on to. If you could give the version of yourself that right when you're in the middle of all of the swirl, if you could give that version of you one piece of advice to hold on to that would have that anchored you or would have anchored you more effectively to get you where you are now, what would that piece of advice be?
Yeah. I think like, okay, so one piece of advice, 'cause I'm like, I got 1,000 things. But I think the one biggest one would be to be brave enough to keep breaking things down and rebuilding them. So like when something's not working, to say to be okay with being wrong, to like try to build something in your business and say, oh, that didn't actually work the way I wanted to, but let's take it back down and rebuild it in this way and see if it sticks. And I think if you do that enough times and you're persistent enough with that, like that's, I guess in my experience, what I feel like looking back, I've been willing to do is say, okay, this didn't work. Let's break it down. Let's rebuild it again. Oh, it still didn't work. This one thing feels off, and to be able to break it down again and rebuild it again until it finally fits. And it's just like, it's almost like trying to get your car into the right gear, and then it just like, it happens and you're just like, it's moving now and I don't have to fight with it anymore. And I think if you're willing to like break it down, rebuild it, break it down, rebuild it, that you'll eventually find that thing that's like right for you.
I love that, because a lot of the times this is a lot of people's entrepreneur journey. They say, okay, I'm going to leave my corporate job. Okay, I'm now on my own and I'm super stressed because I'm reliant only on myself for my income. I'm so rigid. We have to do this one way. And if it doesn't work out, that means that the world is going to fail and I'm going to have to go back and get a job, or I'm going to end up on the side of the road or underneath the freeway. I can't be flexible. I can't change. If I change, that means I failed. That means it's all going to crumble around me. My kids are going to be eating top ramen for the next 5 years. And they're not realizing that part of that entrepreneurial journey is the breaking down, is the rebuilding. You change your whole company name. You change your whole infrastructure. If you had not done that, you would not have been successful.
Yep.
You would not have the support system. You would not be able to say, I'm on my own planning my last wedding. My team is now to the place where they can handle it. And we've grown and we've developed and we've flourished in your business, right? So I'm so glad that you said that, because when it is swirling around, you find your one single path that you think is going to take you through the storm. And then when that path gets rocky or hard or more difficult, you don't feel like you can hang a left. And you can always hang a left, hang a right, turn around, go back, regroup, and find your way out of that storm in a nonlinear fashion. And I love that you said that. That was some really great advice.
Thank you. And I think so much of it is like the fear of being wrong. Like we don't want to be like wrong. And like I've been wrong 1,000 times. I've been wrong probably 12 times today. I've been wrong and had to say, oh, okay, like, no, that didn't actually go the way I thought it was going to. Let's fix that. What didn't work? And being able to like be a student about your business too, and say like, okay, so what is it that didn't work here? And take notes and say, okay, so I'm not going to do that thing again, but I'm going to try it this way this time. And everything will be fine. And if the kids eat ramen for a couple of years, they'll be fine. Like
they'll be fine. Ramen's great. Just put an egg on it and
they'll be all right.
They'll be fine.
They'll be all right. I promise. Like the kids, they'll be all right.
So now we're going to our last kind of meaty question before I ask you about where people can sop up more of your wonderfulness. And that question is our journal prompt question. So this is a question that our listeners out there can also take back and journal and reflect on. And then we're going to ask it to you first to kind of spark some of their ideas for themselves. Your question, my friend, is you right now feel like you are stable and you're getting what you want out of life. You've done a lot of work to get there. What do you want in 5 years from now? And what's the one thing you need to put in place now to make that happen?
What is the one thing I want 5 years from now? I actually don't know that I have an answer to that. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm learning to be okay with that. I'm actually learning to be okay with not knowing what I want 5 years from now. Is all of the things that I knew I wanted, I currently have. And that's such like, it's a beautiful place to be, like having that peace and that contentment of like, this is everything I've ever dreamed of. Everything I have has been the big goal. And so to be like allowing myself to like sit and say, okay, like this can just be good for right now. Like I can just enjoy having made it. And then I'll figure out what the next made it mile mark is when I have like fully, I think, embraced and celebrated this part right here. And so that's where I'm living right now. It's just like being so super proud of where I am and like having this like feeling of inner power and inner contentment and peace and just being okay with having said, okay, like I made it to where I wanted to be and we're good with that for right now.
I love that. And it's about contentment and as type A, Enneagram 3 kind of person. I'm always like, what's next? What's next? Now let's move over. What's next? What's next? And that will mean, if I don't get my poop in a group, that will mean that I will never be happy. Because it's always about what's next. And I love this quote by Tony Gaskins. He says, to be content doesn't mean you don't desire more. It means you're thankful for what you have and patient for what's to come. Yeah. And that is a beautiful way to live your life. And for me, I guess if I were you, which I am not, but as I'm listening to you, I'm learning from you. I'm like, wow, what if that one thing I wanted 5 years from now was just to have maintained this feeling of contentment, happiness, and peace? And until then, like that would be a gift. Because I love the way you answered that question, because most people are like, I want a new car, I want a new house, I want to do this, I want $5 million, I wanted that. And more power to you, because truthfully, if you asked me that question, it would have been probably actually like all those things. But at the core of it, you just got deep into the core of what I really would want is just to be happy, safe, and secure and feel like I have everything in life that I ever wanted. And I love that. Your goals, Alexis. You're totally goals. Totally goals. Totally
now,
goals.
Don't hear me that I don't want a luxury car and a nice house and a beach house and all of those things. Like I definitely want all of those things, but I'm learning right now, I think, just to be able to say, like, we don't have to be striving for the next new thing. Like I'm a Enneagram 4 with a 3 wing. And so I've lived and kind of been pushed by my parents more into that 3 wing. And I'm learning to like exist in that 4-ness of me and say, like, we can just be here and be present and just really like soak up all that it is right now. And that's been like so powerful for me this year.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that powerful message with me as I check myself, like, oh, maybe you just want to be happy. And with everybody that's listening, I appreciate that.
It's my pleasure.
So Alexis, if people would like to follow you, your company, share this journey with you, where can they find you online?
We are Burst Weddings everywhere. So at Burst Weddings on Instagram, burstweddings.com is our website. If you want to follow me personally, because I'm trying to like take a step back from the business page and not be doing all the social, like personal stuff on there because we're a team now. I am at Mrs. Alexis Alvarez on Instagram, and I'm starting to get better at like the own personal brand stuff. So you can follow me there too.
I love it. Thank you so much for being a guest. I took copious notes, and I'm like, ooh, I need to do that. I probably need to reread this. Oh, maybe I need to call Ashley. So there's so many things that I personally have gotten from this interview. So I know that everyone listening is definitely going to get a lot. Thank you for dropping the knowledge bombs and being awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being awesome. I've loved getting to know you over the last year and following you and watching you just blow up in your own part of this world. It's been so fun to watch. So I'm happy to be on this journey with you, girl.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you and bye for now.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by Copywriting by Flourish Marketing. Do you experience peaks and valleys in your revenue? That's a stressful way to build a business, and it makes scaling impossible. One day, you're buying a new Louis bag, and the next, you're rubbing together your coins to dive into the racks at Ross. You don't have to struggle with financial feast and famine. A strong email marketing funnel provides you with a captive audience that's eager to buy your products and services. At Flourish Marketing, we use the StoryBrand SB7 framework to create lead-generating PDFs, quizzes, ad copy, email sales sequences, website wireframes, and weekly content to attract, convert, and close more clients. If you're ready to start generating more revenue on autopilot, visit www.flourishmarketing.co and schedule a call today. A strong email list means that you'll have more headspace to focus on your zone of genius instead of stressing about bills and making payroll. Jump on the No Stress Express at www.flourishmarketing.co.
Wow. With Alexis, I was able to get my little type A self in check. And I'm so glad that she mentioned that answer to her journal prompt question gave me a totally different spin and a different direction that I could go in when I'm answering that for myself and my own journaling time. And I hope that maybe it did the same thing for you as well, where you're able to reach out and broaden your perspective of what your life in 5 years could look like. Remember, get that feeling deep within you because only you can create an unknown future, a future that comes from the realm of possibilities and magic that only you can create. In this episode, we talked about infrastructure and team as freedom because it truly does take a team to make the dream. Teamwork makes the dream work. I loved also that she said that she wanted to be the type of leader that people want to follow. How can you do that for your team? Or if you're a solopreneur, how can you first do that for yourself so that you want to even follow yourself into the entrepreneur battle as it sometimes feels like on a daily basis? She also talked about having specific music for specific moments. That's a great way if you're trying to trick those good old neural pathways into saying, hey, I want to create something new. Play a song that cues you into, oh no, I really am the business. This is my song. And I'm going to put that song on because I'm catching myself going back into those old ways of thinking. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode. If you want some more recalibration strategies, in addition to what we have mentioned, make sure you go to flourishmarketing.co/recalibrate to download the recalibration guide. Also, if you want to get all of those juicy resources, they are in the show notes, everything that was mentioned here on the podcast today. I'm wishing you lots of love, light, and abundance, and thank you again for listening to the Flourishing Entrepreneur Podcast with me, your host, Alea Harris. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Flourishing Entrepreneur Podcast with Alea Harris. Dive into the show notes at www.flourishmarketing.co/podcast and connect with Alea at Flourishing Entrepreneur on Instagram. Vibing with what you hear? Leave a 5-star review to spread the love and be sure to click subscribe. From the entire Flourish Marketing team, we wish you love, light, and abundance. See you next time.